Please call the roll.
1 second.
Please call the roll.
Okay, Mr. Keller,
Councilman Keller, can you hear us?
did you make it?
He's not muted either.
Mm-mm.
Let's go past him.
All right, Mr. Claus,
Here.
Mr. Skips,
Here.
Mrs. Welch,
Here.
Mr. Jacobson,
Here.
Mr. Keller. Sorta, yes. And Mr. Cromer is absent today, so Mr. Mayor,
Here. And what's going on with Mr. Keller? Do we have a way for him to chat with us or do something with us here?
well, I'm talking to him on the phone, but it says he's here.
Okay, I see that he's here, but I just don't hear any audio coming from him. So you'll have
Is he
to.
doing any chat messages with anybody saying what's going on?
No, I turned the chat off.
Oh, okay.
I've disabled the chat.
You might turn it back on so that he can chat with us if he wants to reply to something, okay?
At least explain what's going on.
Explain what's going on. Thank you. So now
We have to remember that no matter what, even if you do private message to somebody else in the chat, the person who has the chat has the Zoom program open will be able to see everybody's chat, even private person-to-person chat. So nothing is secret in that.
So I see that Anton's now gone, so he must be trying to reinitiate.
Yeah, I
Now-
said he's gonna try it again.
Madam Clerk, we do have a quorum. Let's continue. So, Madam Clerk, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And Councilman Jacobson will lead us in vocation.
All right, let us pray. Dear Father in heaven, we are very grateful for this day that thou hast given us. We are very grateful, Father, for the recent rains that have filled our community and our valley and lessened the danger of fires, wildfires. We're so very appreciative of that. We're grateful, Father, for this great land in which we live in and the great community of North Pole. And we pray as stewards of this community, as city council members and mayor and employees of the city, that we will respect the rights and the privileges of our residents and those who come to our great city. We also pray that thou will grant us with wisdom to make decisions that will ensure the prosperity and the health and safety of all those who within our boundaries. We are very grateful, Father, for these things, and this we pray humbly in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So before we continue with an action item, I see Anton, did you join with us, Anton?
Finally, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. You got it. All right, and you know where we're at then, so you're along for the ride. So we go to an action item number 4, approval of the agenda found on pages 1 and 2. Need a motion?
Move to approve of the agenda.
Second, Skips.
Okay, seconded by Skips. Discussion?
Move to amend.
State your amendment, please.
Move to amend. I'm trying my agenda just disappeared on me here for a second. Sorry. Move to approve by consent items under 12 new business ordinance number A, B, and C, ordinance 2213, accept the 22-23 MS contract for the Fairbanks North Star Borough, and request for back compensation of employees using Bridge Health.
Second, Jacobson.
So motion by, to amend by Welch and seconded by Jacobson. Madam Clerk, call the question.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Mrs. Welch,
Yes,
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes. Does anyone wish to change their vote? I see none. Now, Madam Clerk, now that it's amended, call the question.
Mrs. Welch,
yes,
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Claus,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes. Anyone wish to change? The motion has now been accepted. Those items are now under consent, A, B, and C. Thank you. Next action item we go to is item 5. This is an approval of the minutes from June the 6th, 2022 on pages 3 and 7.
Mayor, move to approve the minutes.
Second,
second,
Skips.
Okay, motion by Claus to approve it, seconded by Skips. Any discussion? Call the question, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mrs. Welch,
yes,
Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Anyone wish to change their vote? I see no changes. Thank you. The minutes as recorded and as have been amended back during the meeting of the whole. Thank you. We go now to mayor's comments. As of today, I'll give you the following that I've been involved with since we last met. We last met on June the 6th. On June the 7th, I was a witness and a guest at the 18th Aggressor Squadron at Eielson Air Force Base to see Colonel Tom Wolf's FIDI flight in the F-16. This was culminating his 24 years of service to our nation, the United States Air Force, and I was accompanied by Councilwoman Welch. On June 7th and 8th, as the mayor in the city of North Pole, we had meetings with the Deputy Consul General Vincent and the Senior Economic Advisor Walters from the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Mr. Bernie Carl hosted us the evening of June 7th at Chena Hot Springs Resort for a tour of the greenhouse facilities and the ICE Hotel. I was in attendance to that with Councilwoman Welch. On June the 8th, we had a meeting with those from the Netherlands here in the mayor's office. And I was accompanied by Director of City Services, Mr. Danny Wallace, and Councilwoman Welch, and we hosted a farewell dinner for them at the pagoda. Our meeting was to collaborate with the Dutch government for their agricultural expertise on ultra-modern greenhouse technology, and I believe we have a firm footing with them in that regard. On June 14th, following week on Flag Day, I met with the principal investors of a corporation called A to Z Inc. You can find them online, A to Z, the number 2, A to Z REINC.com. And they wanted to get a precise overview of the city of North Pole, particularly as it relates to Brookside Park for its build out, because they are a real estate firm that gets shopping centers built. And they were here on the request of Three Bears in Tract C, which is 25 acres. Three Bears called me up the week before and asked me to host them so that they would get an overview. So I met them in Fairbanks, brought them out here for a little more than 4 hours. And so they now know what we're trying to build in Tracts D, which is 45 acres, E, which is less than 11 acres, and also potentially for Tract G, if Tract G was to come into play. So we have for just Tract D and E more than 200 domiciles, but if G comes in, now we're closer to 300 domiciles. But the commercial development of Tract C, which is 25 acres, is where Three Bears would go. There are many types of businesses that A to Z Inc. represent as clients. I'll give you a few that they're considering. Doesn't mean it's a done deal, it's just in consideration. Things like Krispy Kreme, IHOP, Dollar General Store, let's see, possible extended stay hotel, things of that nature that would be complementary to Three Bears being back there. Three Bears would be the landlord tenant. So those are possibilities of 200,000 square feet. We know that Three Bears alone would represent approximately 67,000 square feet. We already know that. Now, if they put a lumber yard in there, they could be larger. So that's where they're at. When Mr. Joseph Anthony was up here with me with A to Z, did get a long distance call from the principal of Latitude 63 based out of Anchorage. So that you'll know that Latitude 63 is now, was with us at the borough. They are moving forward to taking over the developers agreement in Brookside Park for tracks D and E. They will do what was not being done back there. So they want to do that. And I will have to take my hat off to the fine people down at the borough, Kellen Spillman, Melissa Kellner, and George Stefan, for pretty much showing the principal of Latitude 63, his name is Chip Anderson, what he can and cannot do back there. As a matter of fact, when he was talking to me, he was in Salt Lake City buying brand new heavy earth moving equipment because he's ready to rock and roll back there like tomorrow if he could. But he is actually ready to start developing the land on tracks D and E. And he's going to do it in a phased approach. I would imagine he'll start with track E because there's really no real woods to take down, and those are dual families. So we're talking about duplexes. That almost 11 acres could probably hold 20 duplexes, which is 40 domiciles. So just to let you know that they are moving forward to get this developed, including the roads and the water sewer, and they're talking with Danny Wallace and with Paul Trissel on those ideas. So if there's any more indication as we get it, I'll let you know how that's going to go. On yesterday, June 19th, I met out at the Greens, it's the only time I've ever been there, on the golf course restaurant, with the Executive Observers Program with about 15 foreign duty officers. This was hosted by the Pacific Air Forces in recognition of their participation in Red Flag. So we had Vice Air Marshal from India with us, and we had Brigadier General Radlitz from the Luftwaffe from Germany at our table. So Councilwoman Welch and I were guests of the Pacific Air Forces at that meeting. Furthermore, I'll say that one of the things that's been coming up as an issue is about the flag that seems to be causing concern with veterans groups over at the, what I call the Summers building, what was formerly Summers and Associates over there. That flag is tattered. It's 204 feet tall, the top of that flagpole. They have already ordered equipment. It is not a halyard or lanyard or something that's the traditional way. It's a mechanism that goes up in the pole. It was ruined by the winter storm, so they can't retract the flag at this juncture. And the flag is more than 2,000 feet. I think there's more than $6,500 of trying to get the mechanism fixed. It's not that they're not trying, it's a supply chain issue. And our fire department, if they could have, I don't know if they should have, but if they could have, they can't get their hook and ladder to go 204 feet up in the air. So if you hear things of that, people seem to think that that flag belongs to the city of North Pole, and it does not. And they seem to think that we can take some kind of action against private property owners, and unfortunately we can't. So I've had Mr. Danny Wallace reply to some of these. I've had Councilman Jacobson, and I have too. So just to let you know, that's what's been going on in the last 2 weeks. And I'll entertain any questions for the mayor, please.
Mayor, I have a question. On those
Yes.
duplexes that are going into tracks D and E, do you know how many bedrooms those are? Are they 2, 3, 4 bedrooms? What are they?
Track E, if those are to be duplexes, because that's how it's two family, those will more than likely as duplexes be 2-bedroom. But in track D, which is 45 acres, some of the periphery of track D, the owner of that tract, latitude 63, prefers to make those single family lots. I think they'll be a little bit short of an acre. I think he's got a dozen to 14 lots. But then inside of the heart, the meat of that 45 acres, he's talking about 3-bedroom, possibly a few 2-bedroom, but 2 and 3-bedroom domiciles that will be townhomes that will have nobody above you, nobody below you. So the ground floor will be your garage. And then you'll have above the garage your like living room, kitchen, half bath, whatever. And on the top floor will be your bedrooms and your baths. Okay. And so so there could be as many as 200 of those in track D, not counting the 14 or so individual single lots. And so he's run that past the borough. We were with him at the borough, and it was fantastic. And they made it very clear how he could proceed. And we also took him to CSG to talk to both Zane and Renee at the same time. So we're all on the same page together. And I'd ask, if I may, Mr. Danny Wallace, can you speak to any of that, sir? If he's with us.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mayor. My speaker cut out.
Go ahead.
Could you say the last part again? I'm sorry.
Yes. Could you reference anything that you gathered with latitude 63? We visited with the borough and we visited with CSG 2 weeks ago. What can you elaborate on that?
Well, just to say that they're very, very interested. They're very organized, and they're ready to build when they get the go ahead from both the borough and certainly from city support. We did look, and we still need to look at impacts on the infrastructure as far as traffic, as far as supportability from a city perspective. So some of those things we certainly need to take into consideration, but latitude 63 seems to be all on board. And again, Fairbanks North Star Borough was very willing to work with them with their proposed timeline for building. So again, it was a very positive meeting.
Very positive. And did you gather that they wanted to make their first part of this is track E, which are the less than 11 acres just for the duplexes? Did you gather that from the principle of latitude 63?
Yes, sir. Yep.
A phased approach. So, and so they've turned to Danny to say, go to our directors and find out what the impact will be back there to put that many units back there. Anything else? Seeing no questions there, that closes the mayor's comments, and we'll move on then. Thank you. So we go to the next item. I'm trying to go through this here, having a wonderful time skipping around here. And that is item 8, communications from my department heads. Now, our fire chief and police chief are missing tonight. So we'll skip ahead, and we already have you up, Mr. Danny Wallace. Go ahead, Danny.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things. I think it was Mr. Jacobson that mentioned a PFAS meeting coming up with some CDC reps. And I did attend that at Moose Creek Firehouse. It was a couple weeks ago, but again, I did observe, and I got firsthand from some of the residents the concerns caused by PFAS and PFOA. And there was actually a pretty decent article in the News Miner that kind of captured some of the things that went on there. But it's certainly something that's not going to go away. It is part of that class of forever chemicals, and so it's going to be something that all communities are going to be struggling with. So again, that was good information. And then later on during this meeting, we'll talk a little bit more about a PFAS proposal. We also are working with Moose Creek on the requirements. I actually just started turning in some of the reports, finished a couple of them today on Moose Creek reporting requirements. HC, the contractor, had a significant amount of turnover in a couple of their frontline folks as far as working with the project, but that doesn't seem to be delaying their operation. They seem to be on track. We had a meeting with them today, and also with Respect, which previously was called PDC. We had representatives from both Respect and HC today in my office, and we talked about the entire project, and we went line by line by many of the addresses, talking about concerns from the residents. So bottom line with Moose Creek is that the water installation is on track, but there are some delays as far as acquiring equipment to support some of the sensors. Some of the meter sensors that are coming in may not be in until September. So that it may impact the project. But bottom line with Moose Creek, as much as possible, it's on track. Some of the other things, over the past couple of weeks, we've conducted some interviews for a utility department opening that we have. We're hoping to make a decision within the next few days, working with Miss Glob and with the mayor, certainly on the process for that. But the process is a solid process, and again, I'm confident that the hiring the hiring process is going to be successful, and that we'll get a very good candidate. And then finally, just settling into the job for me, it's becoming less new day by day. But there's a lot of things going on in the city, and I'm getting used to all those. So that's all I have for open to any questions or comments.
Thank you. Yes, I do for you, because you mentioned HC, and I wanted you to be able to speak to this instead of me doing it. Would you relate to the council what we resolved to do with HC based on the snow removal, sir?
I had a conversation with Bill Hoople about the snow removal. There had been some additional talk between the city and HC about the actual price and whether we were going to pay for snow on the ground or snow removed from the site. Mr. Hoople, at least as of the conversation I had with him last week, they were comfortable with us paying for the snow as removed from the site. I think the bill was, and Mayor, you know the exact bill. I think.
Oh yeah, it's $413,280, not
Yes.
$557,000.
Yeah, so that's again, he seemed agreeable to paying that, and that was not going to be too big of an issue. But again, that was just a conversation between me and him last week. But I think that's on track. And again, HC in general, although they've had that turnover, things seem to be going the right direction, both with Moose Creek, and then, like I said, the snow removal doesn't seem to be an issue.
I'd like to thank Councilman Jacobson and Councilman Skips for what they provided me with information the last time that we met, and that we were in CSG's office, and they seconded that let's just hold the line to that. And that's what we paid for what was 68,800 cubic yards removed, not 92,000 something, So thank you for that to the two councilmen that provided us with that background. Any more questions for Mr. Wallace? Thank you, Danny. Appreciate it. We'll go to Tricia Fogarty. Tricia, you're going to represent not just yourself, but you'll tell us where we're doing on your report, please.
Okay, well, I think I am just representing myself tonight. I wasn't given any instructions about other people. We are wrapping up the audit. The mayor and myself have a meeting with our auditors, Mr. Gary Hutchinson and Charles Hickson, on Wednesday at 2:00. And normally they just go over the audited financial figures. And I've found that not much changes after that meeting, maybe a few small things. I think after that, they will probably issue the audit. Since they weren't able to do it for this meeting, what we'll do is send out what they gave us, and then he will speak at the next meeting. So you will have the financials by the end of the month, which is in code. And then he will talk to it on the Tuesday, is it the 6th meeting?
The 5th of July.
Okay. So that's what we expect to happen. It sounds so far, I haven't heard any negative things about the audit, but like I spoke to you guys last meeting, you just don't know till they talk to us. So
And so before I ask for any questions, I will make this statement. This is indicative of just how busy everything is financially and fiscally in this city. That this accounting firm that probably knows us better than anyone, they've known now for years, and they've actually what do they call themselves now? They merged.
Alliance.
Alliance Accounting still can't be able to satisfy getting this to us before the 30th of June. So with that in mind, we may need to change our ordinances to say that they need to get it to us by the first meeting in July now, because it's just never enough time. And I almost would venture to say that if we gave them to the first meeting in July, they might find a reason to not get it to us to the second meeting in July. But there's got to be some place we draw a line. So
Right, yeah.
that's my looking at it. Because we jumped through quite a bit of hoops to get them the information that they need. And so I don't think that everyone's understanding of all the different elements, not just the city of North Pole, but everybody they have as clients, and how they might not be properly staffed themselves, even though they have formed an alliance with Cook and Hagenberg. With that in mind too, Ms. Fogarty, I'll ask for the next meeting, if you could provide us financials, mostly where we're at in reference to two things: where we're at on our AMLIP account and what rate of return we're getting, and where we're at in regard to our sales tax or remote sales tax, our sales tax and our remote sales tax, both
Okay,
items.
sure,
So
yeah.
So we'll know where we're at on track. I know it won't be exactly a half year's worth of data, but it should help us to know where we're at. And thank you for that. Any questions from Ms. Fogarty, please? I see none. Thank you. Now we go to Ms. Ellie Glab, HR and Special Assistant to the Mayor. What do you have for us, Ms. Glab?
Well, Danny already spoke to where things are at as far as the utility assistance position, and I'll just mirror what he said. It's going well, and I think the process is different from what they're used to, but everybody seems to be on board with it. We did finish up open enrollment for the insurance on Friday. I'll have a report back from Risk hopefully within the next week on how well that went. We're fine tuning the rewards. Me and Melissa are fine tuning the rewards for the Healthy Merits program so that we can have that ready for rollout on July 1st. I've continued to work on updating the job descriptions and the policy manual as time allows. We're planning on having another meeting shortly once everyone has had a moment to catch up from all the different things going on, because some of the department heads have been out with different summer events. But I think it's coming along pretty nicely. I've also been updating some of the forms in different areas as needed and trying to make them more capable of being fully digital without changing too much from what everyone's become used to. One of the things that was mentioned to me was that they'd like it if it was easier to have digital signatures on some of the forms that we currently have in place, so that it created easier transition for such as getting flights for travel, things like that, not waiting as long or hunting it down. So that's, other than that, we do have interviews on Wednesday for the administrative assistant position at the fire department. Right now I had 3, but I had 1 step out. So we're down to 2 for Wednesday, and I will update you all on that as it progresses.
And I have a question first. Ms. Glab, are you finding that our procedures for interviews are getting to be more streamlined and more effective and efficient?
I believe so. The different department heads I've been working with seem to be encouraged by the way that we've set up things to move forward, so that the departments are similar in those processes instead of each department kind of having their own way of doing it and none of it really lining up. So they do seem to be happy with the process that I've been working with them on.
Very, very fine. I state that because that's how somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew it would always be important that HR would be split and stand on its own to be able to effectively administer those policies and practices and focus on them. Okay. So I hope the council sees that that's really a step in the right direction. Any questions for Ms. Glad? Anton, I can't tell if you're raising your hand or what you're doing there. No. So there's no questions for Anton. From Anton, there's no questions for Ms. Glad. Thank you. We go to the Borough Reps report. Ms. Welch, any report there?
Yes, I have a report. I attended the meeting via Zoom on the 9th of June with the borough.
You're not coming in. You're muted.
Oh, I muted myself again. Sorry, as I was trying to scroll my report here. Mayor Ward reported on the 9th of June on the following things. They have a meeting lined up with the volunteers and people out in Two Rivers for the volunteer fire department. I know that is something we had talked about, maybe to dispose of one of our old vehicles to them out there, and that could be a possibility. The summer reading program for the borough has started. You can go through the library and find details on that. Please join them. It's both for adults and children. They have some challenges with getting hired people for their summer staffing, I've heard. The skate park groundbreaking is happening here within the next week or so. Could already have happened here before the solstice. I'm not sure exactly. He did not give us the date on that. Of course, things about community concerts at the Midnight Sun Festival. If you were there, you heard lots of community groups that were there. It was an interesting event down there. I attended for a few hours. There will be tours for the Moose Creek Dam starting July 29th. They will be giving tours and explaining all the new upgrades and all the new stuff they're doing out there. The completed road plan is almost ready for public comment. There's limited van, tran, and buses this summer, again, due to staffing. And they have now put their RFP project process on BidNet, so that's easier for people to bid on jobs and contracts. Some of the consent agenda tidbits that they went over real quick. Karen Fox has been recommended or have been approved to be on the Historic Preservation Commission, and Patrick Berter to the Parks and Rec Commission. And I think they're still looking for people to be on some of their commissions, depending on where. City of Fairbanks says that they have many commissions open also. Please check the website for more info. There is also from the local elections, there are many different positions open for people to be into elected positions. So please contact your local city halls for that. They have a Crisis Now program that's being funded through a mental health grant that helps people with mental health. The Diversity Council for Fairbanks meets on the second Tuesday at the city council chambers, and they're also looking for members. The school district tells us that they're still working on the budget and reassigning staff and students from the closed schools. They are working on busing. They're hiring drivers through the summer. That's through the bus company. Question was asked by one of the assembly members. Will they, meaning the bus company, be paid their full contract despite all the issues? And the answer was a quick no. It will definitely be modified to what actually was provided. So we won't be spending a lot of tax money or school district money on paying them for service not provided. There was nobody who gave public testimony. There were several ordinances. One of the ones that were put in there was ordinance 2022-15 relating to guest houses. So that was an ordinance that allowed guest houses as long as you had in rural residential zones that were to a certain size. So that was one of the conditional use that they had out there, but now it's allowed up to two buildings on the thing. So it's a quicker way to do that. They adjusted the amount of money, just like we did recently, for the spending authority for the mayor from $20,000 up to $40,000 for smaller contracts, and up for $200,000 for larger contracts and modifications of projects. So that was a good thing for them. The ordinance, one that might have something to do for us out here would be that they authorized them to waive any kind of animal boarding fees during operational closures when there's emergencies, meaning that if they cannot get their animal control officers in to release animals to people who had their animals collected and deposited at the pound, if they cannot come in and release them, therefore they would not be required to pay for the boarding. So that's a nice thing. The mayor authorized that in December during the winter storm, and they ratified that he had done that. So that was a nice thing. Other than that, we're getting, they're doing something with the recycling facilities of the borough. And so they are leasing a building to make that more efficient. And that was pretty much it.
I do have a comment or a concern that I don't know if it came up or not. It did a few days later at the Fairbanks Area Street Transportation Fast Committee. And that was about us having dedicated bus service out here. I'll almost call it door-to-door limousine service, one day, if maybe even 2 days a week, not to be considered van tran, but something dedicated on a route, on a time certain around the city of North Pole, especially in the winter. Was that brought up at all?
It was not mentioned at all whatsoever, unless
Okay.
it was part of one of the things that might be that was on the consent agenda. I went through it a little bit just to see if there was anything pertaining to us, and I didn't see anything about that. They were just saying they had a limited amount of people driving their buses, which is why the schedule was reduced both for the regular bus schedule and for van tran also.
Okay. And I say that because seniors were here in the chambers prior to the last meeting that we had, and they were being surveyed for one of the concerns that they would like to see how they could have people take them to their medical and shopping and whatever requirements they have, but only within the city limits. So I just brought that up for that reason. Anything that came up about beautification here in the city?
No, they did not talk about that either.
Because Mayor Ward would like us to be recipients starting July 1st of $30,000 to put murals on the underpass coming between the two turnarounds, the underpass of the Richardson Highway going between our two turnarounds. And I'm not so sure that's a good use of money, but that's something for a later date to discuss. But I wondered if they even brought that up.
No, that was not mentioned either.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions for the borough rep? Seeing none, we'll move to the city clerk's report.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. So I just want to start out with saying thank you guys for supporting me with that training that I just got back from. It was so amazing. The campus that we stayed at was just gorgeous, so green, huge trees. I just couldn't get over the trees. I met some super great people, really good contacts, and I learned so much, so many things that I want to implement and talk about and figure out, and I'm very excited to start all of that. I do need to finish up my KTAP, which is the knowledge transfer thing, like basically the test at the end of it. So it's my plan to finish that up tomorrow so I can get my education points. And also thank you guys so much for approving the website. I'm so excited, and that's what I was working on today too. I finished out the little questionnaire, what we're thinking about, what our thoughts are about what we wanted to look like and colors and Christmas stuff and things like that. They also asked what specifically I liked about other websites, and they asked me to go find some other websites that you like the look of, and let us know so that we can kind of incorporate those ideas. Ellie and I went out and took a bunch of pictures today. So they wanted us to take some pictures around City Hall or around North Pole, so we could use them as placeholders for the mock-up of the website. So that's super exciting. So I've kind of finished stage 1. I have a few more questions to answer about that, and then we'll get going on setting up a team meeting. So that'll be like our first meeting where I can invite everybody who's going to be involved in it, and meet the team at Revise that's going to be working with us for that. So that's super exciting. Otherwise that, I've been working with Ms. Cobb for setting up the Healthy Merit stuff and getting that all rolled out. And that's about it.
So I'll ask a question here. Have we had anything come back to us very recently from Dr. Ed Packey in regard to the soil survey they did on the Jack Howard extension?
I've not gotten anything.
Okay, because the only way I know to get it on July 5th is that we have to have the information for
Absolutely.
it. Yeah, we have to have it by June the 28th at our staff meeting. So I don't know why that's taking so long. I knew it wasn't going to be available for tonight, but I just wondered where he's at on that. So maybe I'll have you contact him
Okay.
here in the next day or two and find out where he's at on the soil survey of that parcel of land. So I'll turn to the council. Any questions for Melissa, Madam Clerk? I see none. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, we're going to move on now to ongoing projects for the city of North Pole. I see we have item A, North Pole 4th of July. I believe we have first in the bullpen here is North Pole Lions, Howard Rixey, but I think Howard, you're also representing North Pole Community Chamber of Commerce, Howard.
Principally representing them, yes. Not so much the 4th of July celebration, other than the firecracker run.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Go ahead.
Okay, so again, I'm Howard Rixey. I'm on the current board for the North Pole Community Chamber of Commerce. Our last meeting was on June 9th, and in attendance was the mayor, along with excuse me, Councilman Claus. Following that meeting, our group chose to actually submit a formal request along with a report to the city and the mayor, and I believe you guys have that with you. And what I'd like to do is just read the cover letter to formally submit these requests for the council to consider and possibly move forward with our requests from this point here. And then at the end, if you have questions about the firecracker run, we can speak to that as well. So with that said, allow me. So the letter was dated 10 June 2022. Anyways, went on to say, greetings from the North Pole Community Chamber of Commerce. Our current board of directors wishes to assure you our organization has found a renewed purpose and commitment to achieving our mission. Attached, you'll find a report outlining our recent activities, projects, and strategic focus. We hope you will find yourself inspired by the direction we are going and our energy, and are open to collaborating with us. We come to you requesting the city council take the following actions to further the cause and development of the North Pole community. Number 1, bed tax funds previously granted for the purposes of refurbishing the old visitor center cabin. We're asking that you grant and endorse these funds to be reallocated towards building a new welcome center over multiple fiscal years. Secondly, regards to a new welcome center, we're asking you to support the efforts to construct a new welcome center to be situated in the North Pole Plaza or Gavor Inc. complex by transferring the ownership of property. It's lot 1F2, Santa's Village, PAN 518620, owned by the city, to the chamber for the purposes of exchanging it the said property with Gavora Inc. for the parcel and the future location of the Welcome Center, and we've attached illustrations to that. Item 3 was support the subdividing and replatting of the North Pole Plaza Lot 3 to carve out the Welcome Center parcel, which is approximately 28,000 square feet. Item 4 was the future bed tax funds. We're asking you to support our future request for the bed tax funds for the purposes of constructing the Welcome Center. And our letter went on to say we're willing to make a report and presentations answering questions at the next city council. That's the purpose of my visit tonight. And they're designating me as the front person for these efforts here. Again, in the package, we kind of outlined the new board took over in January, and I can attest to you that these are all young, passionate folks that are very energetic and really want to build relationships amongst the residents as well as the businesses in North Pole and make us more enticing as far as the community goes. So I'm really excited about that. But our attachments outline what our efforts have been to date from January forward, and what we have on the immediate forefront. And 2 major projects that we have is, one, we want to build what we're calling a "You're Not Alone" wall. There was an evening where we spoke to our passions as far as North Pole goes, and what we realized was there's a lot of people, a lot of entities in North Pole or in the neighboring areas that provide some needed services for people. An example was the homeless teenagers. A lot of those kids there rely on food from the handouts that they give at the school, but when school's not out, they're doing without. Along with that, they're couch surfing and whatnot there. So and there's other services. So there's a lot of unsung heroes in our particular community. And so what we wanted to do is create a wall, literally a wall that was shaped like the outline of Mount McKinley, and to put this in the Terry Miller Park. And there's an illustration in your packet, but essentially on the back side, it would be a climbing wall. So that kind of is commensurate with the playground, if you would. But on the inside of the wall, it'd be somewhat arched or arced, if you would, there. And we'd have little placards for all the different entities in North Pole and what services they provided. And the example we used and shared with the mayor was the Eyeglass Recycling Center. We provide eye care. So it would have our name there and a QR code for the kids or whoever to cue in on that QR code and know exactly how to get those services that they need. Along with that, at the ends, we were going to attach 2 shacks, if you would, or closets. One would be a food closet, and then the other one was going to be a donor library kind of thing. So that was one project. And then obviously the new Welcome Center. The old cabin is beyond repair. So there is no way to refurbish it. And that's why we're asking for the $20,000 that was previously allocated for us there to go towards building the new one there. And having said that, on the old cabin, so that piece of property was originally quitclaim deed to us from Luna, from the elf stand for $10. And so we're going to invite her, and I know she's interested in taking that property back, but it will be with the same amount exchange there, probably the $10 and the quitclaim deed for the purpose of making that transaction. And we also have someone who has said that they're willing to tear down the old cabin free of charge. So anyways, those are our big projects that we're working on here, and we really want to make our chamber more exciting, more visible, more responsive to the needs and community. So that's where we're at. Begging anything else, that's all I have to report now, unless you want any questions.
So, Mr. Rixey, I'll ask you, or I'll have you help me fill in the squares. Madam Clerk, you don't have that illustration that he's talking about, do you?
In our packet. No, it's in our attachment as an email.
Attachment, right? Can you bring that up for us to look at, Madam Clerk? That's how we do this on Zoom, by the way. So I do know, as she's bringing that up, that one of the parcels we're talking about is off of Cary Lane behind Wendy's there that the city owns. And the other piece of land that we would swap that Gabora has is sitting off of behind the pagoda over there. Now it's showing up. You want to describe that to us, Mr. Rixey, please, if anyone needs
Yeah,
that.
so this picture you're looking at here is the parcel that's owned by the city. It's directly behind Wendy's. And our attachment kind of shows what the current Fairbanks North Star Borough property taxes are showing, or the value, and what you guys aren't paying any tax on it. I think it's valued at around $41,000, something to that effect there. So, and then, so the next page. And this is just the history, particular parcel there, I believe. Yeah. So this came to you. I don't know the exact details of it there, but it came back to the city's ownership. And this is just the details for yours.
Yeah, I see that the full and true value of it is $40,801.
Right, right. And then if you go to the next page. So this here is an overview of the Gabora or the North Pole Plaza there. And so there's a triangular piece that's kind of right there by Pagoda and where the COVID testing station is, and the rock wall, if you would, between the hotel and the main parking lot there. So that's the parcel that we're asking for. And these, these linear footage here, that's just an estimate there. We're actually going to, we're in a process of having the surveyed and everything else there to make sure it accommodates. But our intent is to put a cabin there, a welcome center, and we're really calling it a welcome center more so than a visitor center, because we're not only welcoming, if you would, our visitors, but we're welcoming new residents so they know where to go for whatever may be the case needs, as far as it may be housing needs, it may be business needs, or whatever the case may be. So along with that, also we want to put 2 pavilions, just small 10 by 10 pavilions that'll fit, that'll cover picnic tables. So if visitors who are pulling up in their motorhomes want to grab and have a lunch there underneath the pavilions, or if they're going over to Pagoda and they're just doing, or a brown bag lunch, they have a place to do that. And it's just a nice area there. And I mean, we believe this is city center, if you would, right now. And this is the most productive place where the visitor or the welcome center can contribute to the community. Because right now the current location isn't doing anybody any good. So, and then I think the next couple pages there just kind of illustrates. Oh, what's the next page? Yeah. So this is the actual plat plan for the Gabora. If you can scroll down a little bit, please. Yeah. So you can see the triangular piece where we're asking for there. There's some utility easements and whatnot there. So that's what the in that red box. So that's what the surveyors are going to do, is make sure with all the easements and everything else there is going to accommodate what we want to put there. And our cabin size is only going to be 20 by 28. So, you know, just under 600 square feet. But again, and then you have the 2 pavilions and a walkway and probably a flagpole with, or 3 flagpoles there, if you would. So, all right.
Here we go.
Yeah, and then we have our cabin. These are just little drawings or illustrations of it. I actually made a model of it. But I wanted to show you the inside. Here you go, the inside. So there's only 2 supporting rooms. There's a 9x6 ADA restroom, and then there's a 5x6 a mech room. Everything else then is a big room. Our intent here is to, one, have a big conference table that'll accommodate 13 people. So whether it's the chamber, the Rotary, the PTA, the football boosters, if there's a need for a meeting place, then we're going to have a modern, if you would, conference capability with a wall TV and Zoom and all that stuff there. Along with that, then we want to be able to actually highlight, kind of give a spotlight to various businesses like each week or whatever the case may be, along with offer opportunities for up and coming businesses to do what we'll call as a pop-up business. So they might be in there for a week there selling their crafts or whatever. And so they get to a point where they can actually go to brick and mortar. So that'd be the case. All righty, and then the next few here, this is all having to do with the property where the current cabin is. So, and this is a plot plan there for where the cabin is there, that little triangular piece. So,
How much acreage is that 40,000 square foot again, please?
I'm sorry.
Acreage for that 40,000 square foot. What is that equivalent to? I'm trying to remember what that equates to.
One,
40,000
just under
Oh,
1 acre,
Huh?
just under 1 acre.
Just under an acre. Very, very good.
Yeah, I think an acre is what, 43,000 square feet?
42 or 43 or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. So,
Yeah. So, again, these are just supporting documents that we wanted to assure you that we weren't just arbitrarily giving away the property for the old cabin place there without proper compensation there. One issue on that is the old cabin, the septic system was actually tied in with the elf stand. And Luna had just redid her septic system last year and disconnected that septic line there. She didn't know it was connected in the first place. But anyway, she disconnected. So currently there is no septic line there as well. And it creates some issues there as far as, water well on site and a septic line and the distance for that and everything else. And there's a drainage issue. That's what was contributing to the whole demise of that cabin anyways, because of flooding during breakup and whatnot there. So we felt it was only appropriate to offer it back to Luna. So, and then I think the next page is just the original one of the quit claim deeds for transferring that this one here is the actual recording one, and then the next page is the actual quit claim deed that shows she gave it to us for $10.
okay.
Yeah. So, any other questions?
Yeah, I have a comment before we go to questions. You and I discussed the possibility of Track C in Brookside Park. I'm almost sure that Three Bears wants to be part of our community and would like to see us prosper. I'm almost sure that I could sell them on the idea eventually of putting down on Brookside Park an acre of their 25 acres to put in a welcoming center there. If you elaborate on what your thoughts were about
Sure.
that and what you would then use this facility for later. I know you don't want to stop this from happening now.
No, so if I may, thank you very much. So first off, as far as our timeline goes, we are hoping that the city council will move forward rather quickly so we can execute this deal with Matt Gavora and company. Because we'd like to actually move forward with at least laying the foundation for the cabin this year before the snow falls, so we can get an early start on the construction next spring. And we believe that we can actually get the construction done by Labor Day of next year. So we'd have a ribbon cutting on Labor Day, if you would, which means that, even if the Three Bears or A to Z is willing to build us a new modern day contemporary, so to speak, welcome center in that new subdivision, for lack of better words here, we still want to stay connected to our old, if you would, city center here. And so my concept is yes, it's a fantastic idea for them to build that welcome center, since there's going to be such a large population there, and it will become a potential new city center. But in the same note there, we want to stay connected to the old one. So if they build us the new one in the new subdivision here, then what we would do is take the one that we're currently working to construct and turn that into a museum of the North Pole area, to include the Athabascan cultural history as well. So, I mean, go from turn of the century forward there as far as our history goes in North Pole. And it still gives you an opportunity, a place there to do special events. Again, it could be the pop-up business, it could be, the taste of North Pole, whatever the case would be. You do not want to tear down or redirect that new cabin there. It's going to have a meaningful impact to the community there.
So in my discussion with you, I had alluded to the funds that you need to get this thing started. So I know that inside the city, we have to look at the $30,000 that'll be available to us come July 1st. What's the best use of beautification funds? I know that my director of city services knows that even our fire department doesn't have a sign, and that we could have our signage made and update our city of North Pole signs, but we could still have maybe as much as $25,000 for beautification funds. And I'm just saying it now so that when we go to talk about this in detail, July the 5th, the council already knows what we're discussing about how we can help get that funded for the visitor center. And I think
Yes.
that's beautification too. And I think it's more purposeful. And it's
Yes.
something that people will see. And you're gonna have to have signs from state DOT to show this is the North Pole Visitor Center where to turn off at too, so.
Yeah, and since you've raised that issue as far as funding for this new welcome center, so currently, we have the $20,000 from previous bed tax, and again, we're hoping that you guys approve or endorse us using it for the new construction versus the renovation of the old place.
Right,
We believe that we can actually build this for about $70,000 there. And our hope is that we'll be able to raise those funds through donations from businesses and corporations and whatnot there. But then as far as, and we want to use those funds there basically to pay material costs and then get local businesses to actually donate labor. And we already have some people that have come on board and said they're willing to do that. So, so part of my sense of urgency on this here is that based on the will of the council, or at least given the sense of the will of the council there, then we'll be able to move forward and start contacting those people and get those commitments or pledges, either for monies or for donated labor or equipment. So I'm glad to hear that you said that you might be able to address this on July 5th. So
yes, that's what I'm leaning for, and I hope the sense of the council is that we can do that. So we need to get our P's and Q's together, because to do this, I have to have it firmly set by June 28th for the agenda for July 5th. So that's not long from now. That's a whole 8 days from now. Okay, so put some more thought into it. And as far as the portion for the firecracker fun run, Chief Duch will be back with us tomorrow, so I will run that up the pole. So be prepared if he wants to question you about the current route, and if he has some concept of changing the route, I hope you can be amenable to that. Okay.
yep, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Rixey now that we have him here? Yes, Mr. Councilman Jacobson.
Howard, good to talk to you and see you again. I applaud your efforts in helping the Community Chamber of Commerce and especially the Visitor Center. It is in need of a lot of TLC, so thank you. I know you're a mover and a shaker, so I applaud that. I just have a lot of different things for you to consider. Have you approached the Gavoras about the possible land swap? Have they showed any interest, or is this news to them?
No, actually, a great question there, Jeff. And so I have already had the discussion with Matt, and he has already come on board. One, I wanted him to just donate it outright there, and he couldn't bring himself to do that. And I did mention just by happenstance this piece there that there might be available to do a swap. He's very interested in that. He doesn't have any particular intended purpose for that piece behind Wendy's at this time here, but it would be appropriate there. And actually the value of the property we're giving us would be far more than the property that we'd be giving him.
Right. Well, just so you know, when the city acquired that property, it had a value much greater than 40,000. So it's in a very high retail location. So even though it does show a taxable value of 40,000, a real estate value is going to be much more than that. So I'm a little nervous about so easily giving that up, because that's a nice piece of property for the city to look at a development for economic purposes. So just hold that thought there for a little bit. When you do build the cabin at the mall, will you build the cabin so it could be situated for future expansion, so you can add on wings and stuff like that to make it bigger? Because if you're going to be turning it into a museum, you're going to have lots of rooms for displays and storage and preservation. So that current 20 by 28 won't do a justice to a museum.
We get that. I mean, obviously, our original concept wasn't even with the museum there. That was just as of late here. But depending on how we situate the cabin on the property, obviously, it's not a very big parcel, but we should be able to. I'm just shooting from the seat of my pants here. I would venture to say we'd probably be able to triple the size of it on that parcel with no problem.
Yeah, I just would just, plant that seed that wherever you locate that cabin, just leave it so that you can, in the future, do some additions without it, being a problem. Another question I had about that is that if you're going to have to replat the Gavora property, unfortunately with the borough, it's like a 3-month process to get through the platting process. You won't be able to do anything until sometime in October or later, if you can even get it on the calendar, because you have to have all the applications and paperwork done. So that's kind of just a reality check. Not saying you can't do it, but I don't think you'll get a foundation in this year with that borough replatting process. It's just,
yeah. I might be able to broker a deal with Matt though to allow us to put the
well, yeah. I mean, there are things that could happen that way too. And then the other thing is that I know that the history of the original North Pole Visitor Center cabin, that land was donated for that cabin to be built. I think that it probably wasn't platted just to save money. And when Luna bought the Elf's Den, I don't think she really knew that that included the land and the cabin underneath it, because it wasn't properly subdivided off of that. So I would hope that you would sell it for more than $10, because that really has an inherent value more than that. It's nice that she quit claim deeded it to the chamber, but historically it's been the chamber's for 40 plus years. With all the previous owners of Elfsden never claiming any ownership of that land. So yeah, on paper it might say $10 back and forth, but for her parking lot expansion and business, it's worth more than $10. And that would help you then also towards your construction of a new place. But I'm just throwing this out there. I support the request to not have to spend the previous bed tax monies on any refurbishing of the existing cabin. I think it's money well saved and spent for a future project. So I think that's a good idea. And then my last question is about the location of the wall in the Terry Miller Memorial Park, with it being 16 feet high. It could cast a shadow there or block the view of parents with their kids. So I'd be really interested in seeing where you're going to put that wall. And is the climbing wall going to be visible to the larger playground side of it, so parents can see their kids kind of climbing up and down it with the plaques and the information on the back side of it? And, just so if you could just provide maybe like a proposal where that wall is going to be. I think it's a brilliant idea. And I love the idea that people can just use a QR code and get information about what they might need at that moment. And also having the 2 closets there, I think is a good idea also. So again, thank you for your continued service in the North Pole community. I really appreciate all that you do for us.
Thank you, Jeff.
You bet.
To discuss this? Thank you very much. We'll stay in touch with you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
We'll move on to what the project I see we have with us now. Where does she go off to there? Where did
Elizabeth Holmes?
No, not Elizabeth Holmes. No, Jennifer. Where did you go off to, Miss Hughes?
Oh, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Miss. So you want to go ahead and give us a briefing on when you're at with the grains for the North Pole 4th of July festival.
Yeah, so it's coming along nicely. We have 20 vendors so far, and room for maybe a couple more. We've got North Pole High School Volleyball is going to come out, and they're going to do hot dogs and chips and drinks and stuff like that.
Wow.
So that'll be an awesome fundraiser for them and an awesome affordable draw for people to come to the picnic. We've got 2 other food vendors, but we're looking for one more food truck. So if you know another food truck, we're looking for another food truck.
So you have the food truck now.
Pardon?
who do you have for food trucks already?
So MNT, she does Vietnamese food, so she does like the banh mi sandwiches, which are
Okay.
really good. Woody's kettle corn is gonna come out, and then we have the North Pole High School volleyball booster team. They're gonna come out. But so we're looking for, we have a bunch of little, baked goods and lemonade stands and sweets and stuff like that. But we're looking for some actual, hearty food.
You might consider the Pagoda, if you'd like. I'll talk to them, and they might be able to bring out egg rolls for us, about 500 or 600 egg rolls.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, and you consider that, that they would be for sale. So it'd be a win-win situation, I think.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I will mention it to them. I've been calling around. I dropped off a bunch of flyers to local businesses asking for door prize donations and kids prizes and stuff like that. And so I've been following up on that actually today. But I wasn't able to get a hold of Pagoda today. They weren't open today.
No, they're not open on Mondays.
Yep. So yeah, so we're looking for one more food vendor, potentially two if we came across really something awesome, but I don't want to inundate people so much that the vendors don't make money.
Right.
So trying to do that. We have confirmation that Celebration Ranch is going to bring out horses. We have confirmation on the bouncy houses. We have confirmation on 2 bands. So Unsupervised is going to come out, as you know, and
Mhm.
Earl Hughes is going to come out. Raven Call came out last year, but they're not going to be able to come out this year. They're going to be out of town. So we
Okay.
are looking for one more band. If we can't find one more band, what we're going to try and do is we're going to see if Unsupervised and Earl Hughes, excuse me, have some pre-recorded stuff that they could play in the interim, just so they're not both playing for 3 hours straight, because that's not reasonable.
So what do we do for drawings? You have some drawings, do you?
So we do have the one, so we have a normal door prize drawing that we want to do, but we also want to do one for the veterans, the active duty military people like you talked about, because I know you said you would donate a gift card for that, which is awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to have active duty military members, if they present their ID card, we're going to go ahead and give them a separate door prize ticket, which will
Right.
entitle them to a prize. I know you've put forward a prize, and I'm trying to let local businesses know about that as well. All of the other door prizes that we did, for instance, the ones we did last year, we didn't put phone numbers or contact information on it. It was you had to be present to win. Like we talked about, the active duty door prize would be something that we would reach out to them and make sure that that person actually got their prize.
Is that a different colored ticket for them?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Very good.
So we'll be selling really, really cheap kids game tickets. The goal is 50 cents a ticket. Just because, if it's free, people go crazy. But we want people go crazy, but we want it to be affordable. We want you to be able to come out and spend $20 and have your kid just have an absolute blast. We've got a couple of local groups and businesses that are going to help out with the crafts and the kids games. And so, but the tickets for those be nice and cheap. Let's see what else. I told you we've got 20 vendors, music. Yeah, so really what we're looking for right now, we're looking for door prizes. We're looking for possibly another food truck, another band,
Okay.
but it seems to be going pretty well.
So the hours are noon to 6? Or
Yes, sir.
noon to 5? Noon to 6.
Noon to
Okay.
6.
And how are you going to advertise it?
So we already have Perry Wally set us up with ads on his radio stations. Just
Talk
like,
of the Town, KFAR? Yeah.
yep. So last year they ran a nice ad on a couple of different stations. So that's going on. I actually need to get together with the Lions. I see you over there, and ask them if we can put it on their sign there in the roundabouts. And we're also passing out flyers to all the local businesses in North Pole, and trying to get flyers to the, like all the daycare places, and I've already reached out to all the homeschool places, trying to get more kids and families out.
May I make a suggestion that you reach out to Chris Capps of the News Miner?
I'm sorry, I've done that. Yes, sir, but you're correct.
Pretty good. And also Latitude 65.
Yes, sir. So I
Thank
have us in latitude 65 already, and I'm going to follow up on that. And I have reached out to Chris Capps, but I do need to follow up with her because I haven't heard back.
Yeah, because Latitude 65, if they publish that on Thursday, they always do it on Thursdays. If they do it on the 30th, it should be close enough for people to know about it, because I don't know if you have it going out here on the 23rd on that edition.
I
always
have it on the
Thursday.
website, and it doesn't say exactly what day it's going to go out. It just says that they have.
It's always Thursdays.
Okay.
And you
Well, I don't
have-
know if it's 23rd or the 30th. That's my point.
Yeah, well, so have you already got the information to them is what I'm asking.
I'm sorry you broke up.
Do you have the information to them already?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, it's been in for about a month, but I'll follow up just to make sure.
okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Questions for Jennifer? I don't know, it's showing up as Brian S. there, so,
I'm not computer literate.
no. So, Councilman Jacobson, Jeff, go ahead, sir.
All right. If there's anybody else who wants to jump ahead of me, that's fine. I just want to make sure I can comment. But thank you. I really appreciate what you've done. I made copies of the flyer for city employees, and I'll be passing out the flyers to the City of Fairbanks City Council members tomorrow morning at their Finance Committee. So there's nothing that the city is planning for events. There is going to be a parade in Fairbanks, but this will be fun for the whole family to come out to North Pole and do it. So thank you for putting that together and organizing it. Just a couple things. One is that another possibility for a food truck, Dick with KJMP, his daughter Reba, I remember a year or two ago, she had a trailer at the Tanana Valley Fair and was selling like gourmet cupcakes and things like that. I know it's not kind of like savory foods, but she might be somebody who's local who you could tap into. I'm not sure what her married name is, but she's Dick's. If you call KJB Studios and ask for Reba's contact information, she might be able to do something if you're interested in that.
That'd be wonderful. I've been advertising it on the food truck Facebook page and trying to get the word out there as well.
Okay. And what kind of door prizes were you
But that'd be
talking
awesome.
about?
Do you know the name of her food truck?
No, I just remember walking by and buying some of her tasty delights that they were really good. What kind of door prizes are you looking for?
So last year we Beach House gave us tanning certificates. The Arms Room gave us a couple of gift certificates. Just things like that. It would be nice to do one an hour. So 5, maybe 6 of them. We had a couple of booths that actually donated items to do door prizes for. So we're not horribly picky. Total Toyo donated a torch, a fire starting torch that makes it really nice to start your fires and stuff. So they don't have to be huge, but we're also looking for little prizes for like the watermelon eating contest, things like that. So really any range from our local businesses that would help advertise the businesses, but also benefit the people who come out.
I might have some things to donate for you. So what would be the best way to contact you and make arrangements for those donations?
You can just call me. Can I give you my number?
Yes, please.
907-590-4780.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would hand you off I call him Dr. Olson, Dick Olson's phone number down at KJMP is 488-2216, 2216.
Thank you.
And I think if you call after 9 o'clock in the morning, you should be able to get them. And have you been over KJMP over the coffee cup on Saturday morning?
Yep. And I
Sure.
believe John's been doing that Saturdays still.
Yes, he has. And I know that I'll go right before the 5th of July. So I know that I have to be out there on July 2nd, because I turn the calendar for Dr. Olson. I let him know it's a new month. So that's my job. And I would say, I would venture that I'll pick up some Cold Stone Creamery. I think I can get four, a pack of four gift cards for only, it's $100 worth of ice cream, but it's probably like $80. So there's a discount to it. So those could be great for the children to have prizes to get ice cream cones, okay?
That would be awesome.
All right, so I think four of those would be a good start, right?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm trying to get Badger Gas and Sourdough Fuel to give us ice cream cards too. So
Well,
that
that's
would be
good.
Ice cream goes a long way.
Oh, it's sure, especially this time of year. And any luck with Safeway for watermelon?
I was trying to reach the manager the other day and missed him. So I'm going to try again tomorrow morning.
All right, good luck.
Yep.
Let me know.
Yes. And do you guys know about Santa's Senior Center is doing the
Yes, yes, and I was going to mention that next after.
They're doing
Yeah.
breakfast, is that it?
Yeah, they're going to do breakfast. They're going to have eggs, pancake, orange juice, milk, coffee.
Awesome.
I'm supposed to buy the Krusty's pancake mix and a big flat of eggs and syrup and orange juice, milk, and coffee. And that's from 8 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock in the morning. And that's somewhere close to where the right before the firecracker run starts. The firecracker run, they're going to throw firecrackers at people, see how fast they can run. So that's what I keep calling it. But they're going to do the breakfast that morning between 8 and 10. So city sponsoring that. I ran that up the flagpole with our Hale and Associates as well. So the only entity that needs to make sure they have liability insurance is the Grange in case some kid gets hurt on their games, whatever. We have $15 million of liability insurance. So that's where we're at with that. Any questions for Brian S. here? Miss Welch.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that Brian S. there is going to make sure that that the other two events are also mentioned while you are doing your advertisement, because it would kind of be silly not to have it all as a full thing like that. Of course, yours would come first, but you start out with breakfast and then you can, go running around and do all that and then, whatever. So
Absolutely.
we appreciate your work. I know that a lot of work goes into that. At least you don't have to try to wrangle 8 guys with grills this year.
That is, yes, an added bonus.
You get a free breakfast sausage with every pancake breakfast you pay for. So we're supposed to get sausage too. So they asked me to get 150 sausage patties. So they must expect 150 people to show up. So we'll see how that goes. Any other questions for Brian S. posing here? Seeing none, thank you very much for helping us out with that.
Thank you.
So that closes ongoing projects reports. Now we're going to push on to item 10. Madam Clerk, do we have any citizens' comments limited to 5 minutes on items not on the agenda?
Yeah, so Elizabeth was supposed to be with us. I don't see her though.
Do we need to call her and remind her real quick?
Yeah, maybe. Does anybody have her number?
Yes,
I don't have it.
I will call her real quick.
So would somebody make a suggestion that we take a 5-minute tactical pause here? It's 8:25. If we could be back at 8:30, who would like to make that motion?
Move to suspend the rules for a 5-minute recess.
Second.
Okay, motion to suspend the rules by Jacobson, seconded by Claus. It's 8:26. We'll be back at 8:31. Thank you.
Yeah, she thought we were still doing the meetings live. So she popped by here and then I sent her the voice, or I sent her the email with the Zoom links. So
And of course, her phone goes to voicemail and she's not set up for having messages.
okay. Yeah, I didn't get a bounce back on the email or anything, so seems like she got it.
I'll send her a text too. If she answered my text here.
Did she say what she wanted to talk about? What? Huh? She can do it next time. Hopefully we'll be open July 5th. Is there any luck getting in touch, Mrs. Welch, or not? I can't hear you. You're muted. Mrs. Welch, you're muted, or she talking to somebody?
And she looks like she's talking to the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's logging back in.
Okay, good. Did she lose her connection or what?
I don't know what happened, but
Well, let's give her time to appear. Okay, the time is 8:31. Would somebody be so kind to gavel us back in? Someone propose us to come back to work?
Move to reconvene the Northville City Council meeting of June 20th.
second,
Okay, so let's go ahead. There's no objections. Let's start the meeting now at 8:31. Madam Clerk, who do we have for citizens' comments?
So we have Miss Elizabeth Holm on the line with us.
Okay. And Ms. Holm, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I don't know if I can go to, oh, maybe start video here. Okay.
Oh, there
Hi,
you go.
everyone. Hello, my name is Elizabeth Holm. I am a City of North Pole resident. I live over behind, I guess, the Sunrise coffee shop there. And I came in tonight expecting you guys to all be in person, and was caught off guard that it was an online meeting, and then I went home and had to put my kids to bed, and so that's why I jumped off. So thank you, I know, for reaching out. But I wanted to come in is because just the last few weeks, between Mayor Welch and Chief Dutra and the North Pole Police Department, I just feel so much gratitude for living in such a small community. It's something I was on the city council from 2013 to 2016 is that I just battled a lot was how, and Santa Claus was there with me. So he knows, Mayor Welch was there with me. So he knows, but I battled a lot with how much is a city police department worth to the citizens? How much are our services worth? But I can tell you that the first time I called, just the 488 number for the police department was because we had a man living near our home in the woods in a tent, and he didn't leave, and he didn't look like he was going to leave. And this is the place, the house that I'm in right now. My husband and I have lived here since 2006. And maybe he's been here. Yeah. So since 2006. And this is where I've actually birthed my children. My kids have lived in this home. This is like the community that we want to live in. We want to stay here. And to have somebody live in our neighborhood who, when we have so many resources available to them, was very off-putting to not just me, but other mothers. And so I reached out to the police department. I reached out to Mayor Welch and just said, this isn't going to work. Like we're not feeling safe. Like I was just teaching my third out of fourth today, how to ride his bikes on training wheels. And I'm just thinking how lucky I am to be in a city that the mayor is so responsive. The police department is so more aware of my community than I am, that it takes a burden off of me to know that I called them and they already knew the situation. Called the mayor and he was on top of it to figure out how can we fix this. And so there was nothing got aggressive or anything, but I did approach that man twice in a very, I sat with him and visited with him, and it was very positive. But the last conversation got very scary with this homeless man, where it seems silly to say, but the response that I got from other people was, oh, he's so nice and harmless. But this man believed that he was there to rescue the women and children, and he was purposely targeting neighborhoods like ours for the last 10 years to try to save the women and children, because the men have gone too far. And I don't even want to say on recording how much weirder it gets, but it got very, very scary. And the fact that he was in his camo tent near my home talking about saving children, I don't want my children saved in that way. So I'm just very thankful that he has moved on now. And so on top of that, this past Saturday, I'm sitting around with some friends and we're talking about just kind of that situation. And I've had 2 family members go missing, and they were missing for an entire year. So my first one was taken out of the bathroom at a restaurant, and it took the police a year to retrieve them from their kidnapper. And then the next one was missing when she was 12, and they didn't find out where she was until Border Patrol of Mexico called, and she was in the state of Washington, and her kidnappers had brought her all the way to Mexico, and thank God that they retrieved her. And so I bring that up because on Saturday, we couldn't find my son, my 2-year-old. And so, you think, like, as a mom, like, be calm, and you go through the house. Well, I had 2 other moms there with me, so they're going through the house and the property. And then I had my older daughter, so they're going through the property. And I'm just thinking, what happened to my family members? And then I'm thinking, there was that man in my neighborhood who's talking about saving the children. And so I felt so comfortable with just calling 911. I'm just going to call 911, and I don't want Fairbanks police. I don't want the state troopers. Just send me my own police in the city of North Pole who know my community, who knows what more that they know what they're looking for. And so they were able to send Officer Wages over, and he came and he scouted out the property. I was able, Chief Dutra has given me his cell phone number. He probably regrets it, but I used it right away. And I just said, Steve, I don't know what to do. I can't find my son. And it felt like hours had passed, but I think based on the call logs from the time that I called 911 to finding my son was 23 minutes, and it felt like hours. And he had followed one of his siblings into my car to get a water bottle, and the sibling shut him in without knowing it. And so he was in my hot car that whole time. And just the relief of course, finding him. And then the scariness of like, what if we didn't find him? But I just, a huge thank you. I just didn't want a day to go by without saying like, thank you to Mayor Welch for taking my concerns about kind of the squatter in the woods seriously. And thank you to North Pole Police Department for just being, partnering with my family in the community. We want to raise our kids, even though it was nothing, or maybe sometimes it's silly, or it feels like, why am I even here? Like, I really feel like, even North Pole Fire Department, thank God we haven't had to call them, but I just feel like the city services here are partnering in me as a mom and even my husband to like raise our family. And so a huge thank you. And you guys are a blessing to us, and thank you for this weekend.
Well, Elizabeth, you're certainly welcome. It's a long time since I remember when you were a rookie. And I was a rookie councilman once upon a time, and I sat between a mayor named Jacobson and one later named Isaacson. So I learned a lot from them too about what we need to do for our community. And I'll say that I'll give credit where credit's due too, because Councilwoman Welch actually went and talked to that man to try to assess what he was about, so that we would even have a clearer picture, and we weren't being we were being cautious. We knew that this could turn out in a way that some communities, they're asleep at the switch. They don't pay attention to those things. They don't get involved at that level. So I'd like to give credit where it's due there. And I will say this about our chief and about our detective and our police department, as small as it is, they're solving crimes that I cannot talk to you about. I have to hold those in confidence. But one of the biggest crimes goes all the way back to 2006. And because of that, there's a conviction in Alabama right now from something that's very heinous. And to imagine that it happened here to an infant in 2006 is just atrocious. It's just very scary. So you're correct to recognize Chief Dutra for going the extra mile, and his department and his detective. And they're going through cold case files right now, because when there's time to spare, they go into it. They try to open up things so that they can look at it from a different perspective. So people should know that they're getting, it's not always about money. Anybody can tell you what the cost of a department is, but it seems like you are living proof of what the value of it is, correct? So I hope you understand that hopefully by July 5th, we'll be able to come back into chambers again. We're really working hard on that to get our chambers open on July 5th. Thank you. Any questions or comments to Elizabeth? All right. Thank you, Ms. Holmes. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, anyone else for citizens' comments?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. With that in mind, citizens' comments, item 10 is closed. We have no old business. Under new business, we've already consented to items A, B, and C. So that takes us to the next step, which will be council comments. Madam Clerk, who's first on item 13, council comments?
Mr. Jacobson?
I feel like I've talked a lot, but I've been on auto pay for the city utilities for over 14 years, and apparently the city switched over to a new system, and unbeknownst to me, I wasn't paying attention because my bill gets paid every month using my credit card. But I got a delinquent statement saying that I was 2 months behind and my water was going to get cut off unless I paid it up by the end of the month, June. And I did log on. There was a nice letter that showed how to log on and set up a new auto pay. And so I just wanted to applaud that. But I was just curious how many other folks out there like me, not paying attention, going through life, being happy, thinking all is well, got caught in the same situation where they didn't realize their credit card was not processing their payments anymore and they had to redo it. So just a thought out there. Also, just wanted to say it's good to see Danny Wallace, our new director, and hear that he's working on doing things, getting caught up with all the different projects. I know he has a lot on his plate, and I'm glad that he and the mayor were able to come up with a resolution for HC and Mr. Hoople regarding our snow removal. And thanks to everyone for all the good work that they do for updating our codes and policies. Again, I can't say how positive it is that we're thinking that, you know, retroactively giving people, you know, $1,500 for saving the city insurance money. That really speaks to how much we value our employees, and it goes a long ways for retaining employees and attracting good people to work for the city. So thank you for that extra effort and attention and focus. And happy 4th of July, everyone.
Thank you, Jeff.
Mr. Keller?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, good. Technical difficulties tonight. Anyway, so I have to echo Councilman Jacobson. I got a delinquent letter in the mail too. So I'm gonna have to go back and double check everything to make sure that, you know, everything was, yeah, anyways, do my due diligence on my hat. So, let me see. I feel Mrs. Holmes' comments tonight kind of struck a chord. That small community, and you know, we had the firehouse open house. I got to finally shake Chief Dutra's hand that we've been talking to for quite a while. We have a small community, and I am very privileged to be a part of it. And the leaders that we have serving the departments aren't just ones that are out in front shining in the light, but they're the ones, they're boots on the ground too. And it's awesome to see that. I'm very, very humbled to be a small part of this community. So with that, happy 4th of July. What a great time to celebrate our freedoms and what's all it comes, what's come in the past and what's what's coming up in the future. I'm super excited for what we have coming to North Pole.
Thank you, Anton.
Thank you. Mrs. Welch?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, definitely. That whole situation with the man in the woods was quite interesting. When she called me and I told her, keep calling, you know, you call the police, and then we got mayor involved and everything else. And I just figured I'd take my puppies over, and I went and did have a talk with him, and he did seem like he was an interesting character, but also seemed like he was a little bit above being normal as far as mentally. So it was probably good. And at that point, he was already packing up and getting ready to get out of here. And I told him, I said, you know, just God bless you, and make sure you stay safe out there, and so on and so forth, and sent him on his way. Yes, definitely. I appreciate everything our people do for us out here. I've been watching the young folks in the roundabouts putting in flowers and all the stuff that's appearing out there. It's starting to look really nice. I like the way the City Hall is looking right now. The carpet in the chambers is looking fantastic, and paint on the walls. It just kind of picks up everything. A few little things that we still need to do to it. And we might want to ask Mr. Jacobson to join us in trying to figure out how to maybe best display some of the stuff that you are more familiar with, i.e. our stuff from Itadori, because all that stuff was taken out, and it would be nice to kind of refresh that thing. I don't think it's up to the city clerk and those guys. I think maybe we need to step up. I'll be willing to do it if you, Mr. Jacobson, have some time once we get the stuff back in there that we can go through it and just kind of display what needs to be displayed and have the other stuff available, something like that. So if we can do that, Mr. Jacobson, I'll be happy to.
Could we do it maybe this Friday, the 24th?
I don't think we will
go over it.
I don't think we will have the display cases and stuff like that in there yet, but yes, we can certainly go through something on Friday. I don't think I have anything. We can go through the stuff and decide what we want to put in there, and then I can help out with that once the stuff gets in there. I don't think they want that glass case in there when they're moving furniture in and out to do the fishbowl part of it. So
Right.
yeah, we
What
can
time?
definitely go. We can definitely go through with it on Friday if you want to.
10 a.m.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
All right. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Skips.
Yeah, just remind everybody, just stay safe and be mindful of people riding motorcycles. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Claus.
Well, wishing everyone a happy 4th of July. I know if Chief Heineken were here, he would say something about checking with the fire department for fireworks with a fire danger. And also people that have PTSD and some other issues that are kind of scared or frightened by the fireworks, the noise mostly. Also some animals that have a similar kind of reaction to the loud fireworks. So please be careful over 4th of July. And if you happen to stop by the Grange, you'll see me there judging the watermelon contest. Happy 4th of July.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, wow. Okay. So first, to give some sort of kudos to things here that really mean a lot to me. So Miss Ellie Start, I call her Ellie, like off of the, what was it, Dallas, J.R. Ewing, Miss Ellie, but I call her Miss Ellie. She started with us on Seward's Day, and it must be like coming in here baptized. I always say baptized by fire, because if you think for one moment that me as a mayor had a real idea of how to put her in a training program, she is a self-initiator. She has put herself out there to learn how to take on policies, and that's the best way for her to learn too, by the way, is by having to go and do it herself. There are better things though, but I'm very appreciative, whether she thinks I am or not. I really am. I sometimes have a hard time with showing it, but I do know this much, that it's long been needed to have a person like this in this city. And that's going to take us a lot further, long after I'm gone, that we will have had somebody that will have grown up and have become a professional because they have the ability and the desire to become that. So that's an important thing. On the same token, I'll look at Danny. I can't even imagine what it's like drinking out of a fire hose for Danny Wallace right now. It's like I knew he was a go-getter because he's the only person I've ever seen that gave us written answers to his interview before we even interviewed him. So we had a head start with him. And I said, that's a hallmark of a real professional. He will be leaving next month for a short time to go to Carlisle Barracks for the Army War College. And he'll, I'm sure, give us a briefing on it when he gets back in August. So that's always encouraging, though, that we have that caliber here on staff. We are really trying to be prepared to be in the growth of this city. It is at a very significant crossroad. It's very hard for me to know really what I should do, what I could do, and to know what I don't do. There's a lot of things I don't get done. There's just only so many hours in a day. I thank God he didn't put it in our mind that we should have 25 hours in a day, because then I'd have one more hour to do things. But I will say this too, is that it being an election year and all that, Santa Claus, you probably don't expect me to say, thanks for putting your hat in the ring there, and you did very well. And I think you must know that. And some of the perennial people up here from the interior that you beat hands down, okay, speaks a lot about your candidacy. And I think
Thank you.
you should understand that I'm appreciative of it. I know that Santa's told me that certain people have asked him, how come your mayor doesn't endorse you and things of that nature? But I always feel there's a line somewhere, and I'm probably crossing that line right now, because as people in the municipal, that we are supposedly nonpartisan. I'm always reminded of that, but this isn't a partisan thing. He's running as an independent or somebody who doesn't have a party preference. But it's difficult to see what's going on in that regard. But if I do take the people that are in party politics and what we're coming down with, there are so many things that I feel that we do not get. I'm genuinely disappointed with our legislature. You know, when you make a concerted effort to go and make it 3 years in a row that we've had a legislative priority to take care of the firing range, the police small arms range. We're not talking about for the city of North Pole. We're talking about at least 5 agencies. And for me to be able to be lucky enough to talk to somebody on the inside circle of the governor and say, the governor is very, very aware of this, and he understands what's at stake here. And for us to be able to go out, and for Chief Dutra to have to go out, because he is the Alaska peace officer, or what do we call it? The chief of police, ACOP, Alaska Chief of Police Association president, and he's on the Standards Council. And also, we have that ability to go to governor and say, Governor, this is an oversight. We need to fix this, because all of these agencies, the troopers, FPD, us, whoever, so the governor's going to work with us to find a way to get that shortfall fixed. And I think that's really incredible that we can do that. We should not have to do that in this world. We should be able to depend upon our legislatures. And members of the legislature just, I don't know what's going on with them, but they're getting in contest. We need to pay attention to what they do and what they don't do and call them out on it when they don't do their job. I wouldn't want to swap with them in a million years. If they want to go to Juneau, that's good for them. But as far as it impacts our community, it really bothers me somewhat. With that said, I do know that, once again, I say we're in a crossroads for growth. And we don't have it, other than watching it on the news and stuff, we don't have in our backyard the situation that's going on in Ukraine. That was a subject at the table out at the golf course last night at the restaurant with the German general that we had, and he's about 4 years younger than I am. So he's been with the Luftwaffe for a long time. He's on the general staff of the Air Force. They're very concerned about what's going on in that part of the world. And I've seen that when I was a young NATO non-commissioned officer where we were at with Poland in Lech Walesa in solidarity. So the same feeling that World War III is right around the corner is pervasive. And we may not get that feeling here, but this community is vital, extremely vital to the future of the Arctic and the future of not just the United States of America, but to our allies. So we were with mostly Pacific Air Forces last night, but you could see we had some NATO allies with us last night too. The Air Commander of the Indian Air Forces in his 28th year. And so the German general and his, like, I want to say pretty close to his 43rd year, which is a long time. I thought I did a lot because I did 35 years with the Feds. But so just know that there are many pieces of this, how we fit in as a community. And with that, I'll say, everybody, please remember that when we go into the 4th of July, of what it is we're really celebrating here. And who could want to wish anything but the best for our country. And the only way it can become the best is that we do our very best day in, day out. And with that, I'll say thank you for listening, Madam Clerk. So we come to item 14 for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
There's a motion to adjourn. I would think Mrs. Welch maybe got that and Jacobson seconded that. So let us call ourselves adjourned here at 8:56. Thank you, folks.
All right, bye.